This is a memorial to Allegra Milano, who lived here before we came. She was born April 27th, 1919, and died April 21st, 2002. She was very happy to know that Bill and I would take care of this place, would take care of her animals, and would preserve the trees and the land, something that was very valuable to her and meant so much. And her spirit is still here. We feel it in the flowers and the trees, in the animals that have been here that we did care for, in the cat that we do have now. So we feel her presence very much here. And this is a tribute to her. Two neighbors, also good friends, were the ones who designed the plaque and asked us if they could put it here. And we were so touched by that because they loved her spirit too. She was really quite an incredible lady. And it says, "The Lord and I farm. Her spirit, her love for God and all He created will ever touch those who enter Grand Falls." And it's really true because we've had people come here whose mothers have lived in this house where we live now, built in 1835. They have come here to see the house again, and they're so happy that we welcome them. And Bill gives them cookies and tea and coffee and whatever, and they're just really thrilled. And we're so happy to be here and to welcome them. And we are also looking for someone who will be the next caretaker of this place. And that is something that's primary on our agenda. Looking, listening, waiting, watching to see who would also like to come and care for this place, these trees, this garden space, the flowers, and the house, which is very special, still standing, still sturdy, very good, very special place.
And what's the address where we're standing right now?
We have two addresses. 184 Bryant Ridge Road is on Allegra's mailbox right there. Grand Falls, Plantation, or Township as it's called now, 04417 zip code.
Okay, and the other address is?
2096 Bryant Ridge Road, Grand Falls,
And,
Township, 04417.
and which one works?
They both work because we are associated with the Burlington post office. So we get mail, either number. One is Township and one is the one that was on the mailbox when we came, which we have used. But Bill and I use both.
Okay, that explains why my GPS takes me someplace else.
That could be, well, I don't know.
The GPS takes me up the road further. I don't know why. Or up this road further. My GPS doesn't tell me to stop here, but I know to look for the plaque.
Good. That's what Doug and Linda did too.
So, okay, very good. Let me zoom in a second here.
Well, this tree was originally, a pear tree, and it was upright, but over the years the grapevines came and started attaching themselves to the tree and deformed it. We weren't sure how much of the tree would still live in the wintertime, from the winter, so we let it leaf out just to see. We'll have to do more pruning. But we kind of like the tree, and the grapevines like it, so they're reaching over again.
One of the reasons why we didn't prune it this spring was because there's some pear blossoms on it. And we thought that there might be pears, but obviously we were mistaken.
Right. But we like the tree. Okay. And this is our garden. End of summer. Much has been harvested already.
And pick and pull time is coming up. This will keep us busy for a while. We already picked up one row of potatoes, and there's 4 more rows, plus the beans and a bunch of other things that have to be picked up. And some things will stay in the ground till the first snowfall, and the rest we'll pick and clean up and put compost on it and leaves. and invite the deer to finish the place up. Well, over here in this row there are that's parsnips, which we will pick half of it in the fall and leave the other half in the ground and pick it in the spring because it'll keep all winter. There are also beets along here, which we've been eating. We like the beet greens plus the beets themselves. The carrots are about ready to be pulled, but it's not cold enough down cellar to keep them. We keep them in a box with sawdust over them, and they'll stay provided we eat them by February or so. This is Swiss chard over here. We've been eating it fresh all summer. We'll probably have some tonight too, hope. And then we can a lot of it along with the kales that are growing over here. We've got white Russian kale, kohlrabi over here, and we got more white Russian kale and red Russian kale over there, and Vate's kale over there. So that will hopefully continue to grow, and we'll be able to can kale sometime in late October. Lettuces are doing fine. There's one batch of lettuce over here and another batch over there, and we made the mistake of planting garlic in July, and that's not good. You should plant garlic either early spring or late fall for the following spring. We did plant some in early spring and we had plenty of garlic, but I tried some in mid-July and it didn't sprout too well. And over here we have leeks, and they're doing pretty well, and along with black beans, and we started a second crop of peas. We had peas growing over here in the spring, and we started some more over there, snow peas and regular peas, and they've started to flower already, and if the frost comes late we'll have some late season peas. And now I turn the script over to Margie, the flower expert.
Okay. These are Allegra's flowers that she had planted, and they're uncontrollable. They just grow up everywhere. Jerusalem artichokes, but we really like them at this time of year. The phlox she planted over here. We find them very beautiful. The Shasta daisies, she called them Shasta daisies, but a friend of ours told us that they're golden glow. But we really like them. They grow 7 feet tall. Right now they're kind of battered down from wind and rain. Before these flowers, we had the hollyhocks in the back. You can see the spokes that are reseeding now. These here are more Jerusalem artichokes that have been battered down by the wind and rain. Before the Jerusalem artichokes were beautiful daylilies all the way around, where you see all the green leaves that are decomposing. Those are mostly the flowers. We also have tansy, yellow tansy that she planted along here. These are all perennials, so we do nothing with them except enjoy them and try to keep them maintained.
And then your mother's...
We have Miriam Wagner's Live Forevers right back here, if you'd like to see them. These flowers came from little plantings from Robson Avenue. Okay, and then we planted them in Methuen. We moved them from Methuen to Back Road, from Back Road to here, and they really like it here. They're not in full bloom yet. They'll be very bright pink, very beautiful.
Okay. All right, this is the bean patch over here. And these beans here, this row here and this row here, these are string beans, and we already picked them and canned them. And the rest are beans, we leave them stay here so that they'll get bigger, and we would pick them for dried beans. And what's neat about them is they come in different colors. These here, these purple beans, which when you boil them, the shell will turn, the bean will turn green, but if you let them dry, you'll get a purple bean. Now this is green, but as it dries, it'll turn purple. And we use that for winter beans. We also have right up here, some green beans, which is, as you let them get bigger, will form a sort of that will turn a little bit purple also, a little brownish. And we dry them on a screen up in the barn and then put them in jars to be put away. The wax beans, when we peel them, they'll give us a dark colored bean. Here, this one's beginning to get dark already, but as it dries, it'll turn black. And that's kind of nice, a nice variety. Now these beans over here, we plant them especially for dried bean purposes. And they're coming along fine. These are fava beans, which is like somewhat like a lava bean. They'll dry and they'll be sort of tan colored. These here, I think, are Hooterite beans. They'll get small and they'll be white, and they're very good for soup. These beans here are Maine's favorite bean, the Kennerly, or yellow eye as it's called. It's a white bean that when it dries, it'll form a sort of a reddish eye, and so they call it yellow eyes. And we also have I don't know if these are ready yet. I think I can find over here. These are Vermont cranberry beans, and they're not quite ready. Oh, here's some. These are Vermont cranberry beans, and you can see this one's ready. And when you peel it, you got a nice red bean, and they're very good. They're good for chilies and stuff like that because they're nice and red. And when you add tomatoes, it just makes it even better looking. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be picking and pulling these beans, and then we have to shell them, and we put them on a screen up in the barn and let them dry there for about a week and a half, and then put them in jars, and we're all set for the winter, for all our Saturday night beans.
How do you fix the beans generally?
Well, I usually take about 3/4 of a cup of beans, put it in a pan, cover them well covered with water, and let them sit overnight. They'll swell, and then in the morning I'll cook them for about an hour and a half till they get tender, and I set them aside. And then when I'm ready to prepare something, either chop onions or garlic, or put various herbs, whatever you want, in the beans, and fry up the onions, and then add it to the beans and heat them up so it all blends in. Then if you want to put tomato sauce in it, you put that in there, chopped tomatoes, whatever you want. If you want to make a chili, or if you want to make a sweet beans, sometimes we just put a little bit of maple syrup, like 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, because we don't like it too sweet, but just a little sweet tang to it, and just let it boil there for, they're already cooked. You don't have to cook them all day like you were baking them in the oven or something like that, because you could do it that way too, but we don't like to leave the oven on when we're not here, if we're outside, so we just do it stovetop beans. And it doesn't take long to prepare, and we eat those with, if you want, you could do hot dogs, or we generally don't do hot dogs, but we'll eat that with rice or noodles or something like that, and sweet potatoes or whatever we might have on hand, you know. But they're good, and we can make a bean soup with it afterwards too. You can come in a picture, Margie.
Huh?
We need something to counteract the compost over here.
Yeah, really. Okay. As
Okay,
far as the
we
trees.
can start with the trees. All right. When we first came here, the lady who lived here before us, Allegra, had a whole bunch of goats. And the goats seemed to know where their property was, and they kept the place pretty much clean. The boundaries of the property on the north side over there are those tall pine trees. It goes that way. The property continues straight down there. You can't see it. All those trees over there are part of our property too, those big tall trees. And that goes pretty far in. What the goats did is that they cleared out up to the tallest trees. So all these smaller trees that we have over here weren't there. That was all flat as, not quite as flat as over here, but looking somewhat like that, only more chewed down. Because the goats really did a good job of keeping the place clean. We spent a lot of time working on the house, and we didn't notice those birches and those pine trees sneaking up on us. And by the time we noticed them, it was like we did spend a couple of falls cutting down many of the trees, because they were a lot closer, especially over there and on that side of the house. They were a lot closer, so we did cut down some, but then the snows came and that sort of ended that. So we're slowly trying to clear out the place a little bit, but we're struggling with the thought that, you know, maybe someday somebody might want to harvest those trees if they got real big, and they might need a little bit of extra cash, and that might be useful for them. So we're going to selectively cut the trees and leave some of them get real big in case of need. You know, somebody might need a little cash. We were told by a lumberjack that some of those tall pine over there, a lumberjack could get $1,000 for one of those trees. So that's a good thing to know, you know, in case you ever needed something. It's there, but for the most part.
That's good. You might want to explain the ash pile there.
Yeah. This is where we put most of our wood ash. Sometimes we'll put some on the compost pile, but I don't like to do it because I'm not sure how good the wood ash is for the garden. But that's our pile of wood ash, and I'm going to try to do some research on what we can do with it. Once in a while we use it in the garden, not with potatoes, because I've heard that it's not good with potatoes, but I've also heard some other ideas that potatoes did well with wood ash, so I don't know.
We'll be checking it out. Yeah.
We're going to find more information about that. Allegra used to use the wood ash to cover the ice on the walkways, which was not a good idea in one sense, because when you came in the house, you brought in a lot of wood ash with you. This is our compost pile, and it represents all of the stuff that all of the weeds and peels and eggshells and coffee grounds, everything that we've used since spring. And normally I would just turn it over and put it over here so that it could decompose again and take the rest of the stuff from the garden and put over there. But lately I've been taking this stuff and putting it on parts of the garden that we just like where the potatoes were. I'll put that where the potatoes were, then rototill it into the ground, and that part of the garden is set for next year. And believe it or not, it all decomposes. You never see a trace of this. Over one winter, it decomposes. So that's pretty good. I got to show you one plant over here.
I'm looking at your apple tree up there and thinking, wow, you got lots of apples.
Yeah.
Those are the crab apples.
Crab apples.
Yeah. That makes
From
it
which
good.
the jelly was made.
That makes
Those
it
are
good.
crab apples. Those are huge.
No, those are.
The ones up top?
You'll see them. You'll see them
Whole tree.
when we go over there. But this is a gooseberry bush. And what is neat about this gooseberry bush, besides the fact that it produces gooseberries, is that it was purchased by my grandfather probably in the late 30s. People would come around, he had a little farm, and people would come around and sell different plants, and he bought a whole bunch of gooseberry plants. And when we moved from Massachusetts to Maine, we brought 3 or 4 of these to Maine, put them in Burlington where we had our first house, and they did well. And when we moved over here, we transplanted them over here, and 3 of them died, but this one survived. So this plant here is getting close to be 100 years old, which is and it produces lots of gooseberries, which we use for. We'll make a salad dressing with gooseberries.
Gooseberry jam.
You'll like it, I think. It's be something different, and you won't get it anyplace else.
Very good.
Okay. We built this raised bed this spring with the idea of planting 24 asparagus plants. And we did plant them, and maybe about 12 sprouted. Here's one right here, and another one right here. And they're still there, and maybe next year they'll do better. It takes about 3 years for us to get asparagus, so we figured, well, we'll let them grow slowly. And some squash plants started showing up. And I said, well, the asparagus didn't sprout too well all over the place, so we'll let the squash there. I hate to pull up squash plants. And as a reward for leaving them there, the squash plants have left us with one, there's another one over there, 2, 3 nice pumpkins, which we are grateful for. And they also are a good repository for these crab apples, which they look pretty bad, but if you cut off a little piece and you take a whole bunch of them and boil them up, you get a nice, you get some nice apple juice. You strain the juice, you get some nice apple juice, and it makes excellent jelly. Not only does it look good because it's sort of yellowish or orange, but it tastes good, a little tart. And so we keep collecting them, and someday we'll sit down, hopefully, and cut them apart and make another
batch of jelly. Yeah.
jelly.
Okay.
And now we have the
This is
herbologist.
the herb bed. We have oregano, Italian thyme, mint, parsley, lemon balm, sage, rosemary, and thyme, and a struggling parsley, some horehound that didn't make it. But what we do is we really like the herbs, so we collect them, cut them off. I cut off all the leaves. I used to hang herbs. I was telling Kathy, hang herbs in the barn, but I don't do that anymore. Instead, I cut off each leaf, put them on trays for drying, and then they're very easy to store in jars after that, and they look nicer. They don't dry up, they stay green, they keep their shape, and they're really nice. Yeah, we even have a basil there. But we do have sage growing in other places, and oregano is growing everywhere, and we have mints in that little bed there that's already been harvested. That was chocolate mint. Okay. That's about.
Tell me about what do you got over there?
What's that over here? We have cosmos. We plant these every year. Yeah, cosmos, comfrey plant. That's it's passé now, but it provides a great medicinal tea. We have several comfrey plants around the property. We have Maine lupins that come up. You can see the stalks right there. They're the first flower. Now those are perennials. Once you get them started, they keep doing well. That's about it for here. There were lots of daisies. Daisies everywhere throughout the place.
And lots of weeds.
And lots of weeds. We have a lot of ragweed. You can see all that. Lots of ferns. This all dies down in the wintertime so that you can see clear back to the trees. In fact, the whole place looks much bigger in the wintertime because the trees are bare, especially the birches. And so the place enlarges. But in the summer it comes closer. These are our grapevines. These are grapevines that we planted. What kind, Bill?
I wouldn't remember. Red and pink. But I don't know. I don't remember the name.
Type. Lots of grapes there this year, though. They did well. These are nasturtium. They're edible flowers. We put them in salads.
One of the comforting things about this house is the fact that it was built in 1835 by somebody who would have flunked a shop class, because, take a look at that window, I couldn't quite get it just right. I tried making a ruler in shop class that had to be exactly 12 inches long, and I think the teacher was looking for kindling wood because he broke it every time I brought it up because it wasn't just the right one. But that window means that even I could have been alive in 1835 to help build that house. We had the same skills, you know. So but that's our house.
Okay. This old screen porch, Allegra Milano had that built. She had that added on to the house, as she did with the whole part of the house from that chimney to the back. The original house was just the front part. She slept on the screen porch until November. She had a bed there. She really liked that place, and we like it too. So we spent a lot of time out there, and so did the cats there. Because, you know, the grass was all really flattened down and it wasn't us walking through. Tiger couldn't have done it. So that's usually a sign.
Well, deer bed down.
Deer could too, but they don't usually seem to go for the blueberries.
Oh, okay.
They would go for the garden
Yeah.
grass in the wintertime or spring. What's he doing?
He's looking at the snowshoes.
Oh yeah, those are her snowshoes.
Her snowshoes.
Yeah, Allegra's. The solarium here is a room that we really, really like because the view from inside is spectacular. You can see almost all the way around, at least 180 degrees. It's very nice. It was originally, Allegra added that to the original house. It started out as a plastic covered greenhouse where she kept a lot of flowers and plants. Then she eventually had someone put in windows and doors. She put in a ceiling and flooring. When we moved here, we cleaned out a lot of the plants and we had new doors put in, not new windows, new doors, a new flooring, new ceiling. But we just love to sit there. We still use her desk. We still use her chairs. And we enjoy looking out on all of this all year long, especially in the summertime. In the winter, the room is a little bit cold and chilly. We sit closer to the fireplace, to the wood stove. But we really like that room.
And where did you see your moose?
The moose would be, they come and visit. They pass through our garden on their way up the lane, heading towards watering holes in the east direction. And they're as close as these daylilies. They'll come right up here. We see them take pictures from the solarium. It's really kind of neat. And we consider that a really special visitation because they are, their spirits are welcoming us, and we're cohabitants on this planet, and we feel very special to have them come. We usually see them in the spring, but 2 winters ago, they were here in December in the snow. There were 3 of them, big, huge moose. And very close to us. Yeah, it really was. They're very gentle creatures, though.
People think of them as big cows, but they're big and strong.
Big and strong.
Yeah, we had one that I got chased by one. Yeah, I went to take his picture, and they don't have good eyesight. So he was coming closer to see who that was, and once he sized me up, he decided to chase me, and I ran this way, and I was able to go up here. Margie yelled out to him, and that directed him, and he went that way, and he got away, which was good.
Yeah.
See you later, alligator. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, what's that sitting up on top of the rock pile there, Bill?
Well, that head we found out on back road. And it's made out of cement. So somebody designed this head, and we found it there. We don't know where it came from, but it was so unique that we brought it over here, and we put it on top of these rocks. These rocks, we found them just like this. So we put it there as sort of a tribute to all the animals that lived in these Maine woods, and which are part of a whole bunch of people who live here. So that's why we left it there.